welcome to PPR Podcast number 85. Are we sponsored by the Strike Force yet?
No, because you didn't get the graphic up, so maybe next week. You have a lot to do on this show. Put up the graphic.
Yeah, all right. But we are going to be, this is now the PPR Podcast brought to you by the Strike Force. We'll have the logos up tomorrow. My name is Paul. His name is Burt. He's the star of this whole deal. And Burt, would you like to introduce the man on the hot seat?
I would. Demetrius Sumler from...
Hang on a second, Demetrius. I got to start the clock on this so I can...
Because that's so important.
Because I got to know where his best bites are.
All right.
All right, here we go. All right, so the clock is started. Hey, Demetrius, how you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Well, it was fortuitous that my dog's vet appointment coincided. What were you doing in OB?
I was. My wife was going to the chiropractor right next door to your vet, so worked out.
Dude, I recognized you instantly, but I don't think you recognized me. There was like that moment of, I think I know that guy.
Oh, I couldn't forget Papa Pig's face. I'm watching you every Friday night in the fall. Come on now.
Well, for those who don't know, you graduated at Don in what year?
2006.
2006.
Yes.
So describe your PPR experience. How did it go for you?
I loved it. You know, I was kind of in between. I remember when PPR was just about 15 minutes when I was a freshman, sophomore. It was only about 15, 20 minutes at the end of the news, and you guys only showed a couple games. And by my senior year, you guys had the full hour-long production, and you know, we'd always watch it as the Dons. We'd go watch it as a team after the game. So I got some great memories about PPR. That was always a goal of ours, was to get on PPR on Friday night.
Well, from what I recall from that team, you were on a lot.
I was. We had a pretty good team, and luckily Coach Doyle was giving me the ball a lot. So you guys want to talk to me every now and then.
Demetrius, yeah, what's it like going back if you recruit a Cathedral right now and seeing the exact same staff as when you played there?
It's amazing. I know they're coaching them up the right way. I know they're telling them the same things that they were telling us. But you know, they've always had a good environment over there. They keep a lot of teachers and a lot of people at CC are people that went to the school. So very prideful about the school.
2006, was that the year Lindley won the Silver Pigskin?
No, that was the year Abraham Muhizi won it that year.
Oh, yeah. Elkhorn Valley.
So
yeah.
Texler and all them.
Yeah, that was a good team. Remember they ran that weird formation where he was like in punt formation. No one could block anybody. He just ran around and just threw the ball or ran the ball. Let me ask the first hard-hitting question of this interview, because this, I'm sure you get it all the time from people who love the Aztecs. They want to know why more local kids don't go to the Mesa. What do you say to that? Not complaint, maybe complaint, maybe request.
Absolutely. And again, I do hear that all the time. I actually felt that way before I started coaching here. And what I'll say to that is we recruit all the top players in San Diego. Now, a lot of times, you know, we're competing and recruiting against them and some other premier schools on the West Coast. And I think there's a variety of reasons. I think some kids, they do want to get away from home and go enjoy that college experience. And so they make the decision to go do that. And I think the ones that see what we're doing at San Diego State and believe that'd be a good fit for them, they decide to stay here. So just so you know, so everyone knows, it's always an emphasis to keep the best San Diego talent in San Diego. We recruit all those guys. But unfortunately, you can only take 25 guys a year. And depending on the situation you have on our team and what positions you need, body types, things like that, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it does. So it's always a primary goal of ours. And we're always going to recruit San Diego, but we can't take all of them.
So you like my follow-up. This is one of my follow-up questions where you tell me to stay in flow.
Yeah.
So Demetrius, I was reading your old Colorado bio. You need to explain something to me. One of your hobbies was roller skating in the bio. Can you explain that to me? Is that still a hobby?
Oh yeah, I was a big roller skater at Roller Skate Land down in Chula Vista back in my day growing up. Haven't probably roller skated maybe one time since high school that I roller skated, but I grew up. My parents were good roller skaters, and I grew up going to Roller Skate Land in Chula Vista. So that was fun for me.
All right, now this was that was a good question, but this is the question you should ask because we're talking about recruiting local kids. Last I checked, and Demetrius, you probably know this better than I do, there's still about 20 kids from the area on the team. In a perfect world, what should that number be? I mean, if you could recruit every kid in the area, you know, including the 5 stars, imagine if Roderick Robinson stayed on the Mesa, you'd win a lot of football games, would you not?
Absolutely. And again, that's the goal. We try to recruit at an elite level. We try to recruit against some of the best teams on the West Coast. As far as the actual number, I can't give you a percentage of what we want from San Diego because a lot of it depends on what we have on the team at the time. For example, we have a bunch, I coach DBs, right? A lot of our DBs, hey, we got a bunch of 5'10", shorter, quicker DBs. Well, maybe we need a longer DB. So we're going to recruit a longer DB, no matter where he's from. That's what we need at that time. We have an athletic quarterback. We want more of a pocket passer. So our look is going to be at more pocket passers. So those types of things, as far as what we have on our team at the current moment at those different positions, also kind of weighs heavy into what we're recruiting for that next year. So there's been times, obviously San Diego's known for great running backs, and I won't say any names, but there were some great running backs the last couple of years that we didn't really recruit. And the reason was we already had about 5 running backs that were 5'10", 195 pounds. We already kind of felt that we had that same guy, so we're looking for a couple bigger guys. So, there's a variety of reasons of why we do or don't recruit certain guys. At the end of the day, our goal is to get the best guys that fit what we're trying to do so we can win ball games.
So, Demetrius, do you recruit an area or just a certain position? So
I have an area. So my primary areas are Arizona and like the Inland Empire area, San Bernardino. I obviously help out a lot with San Diego because I'm from here. I know a lot of high school coaches. I know a lot of, just a lot of people in the area being from here. So I help out a lot in those areas. But my primary area is Inland Empire and Arizona.
So when you're in, say, Arizona, and there's a great D lineman that you're recruiting, do you get the full slay of it, or you have to go to your D line coach and say, show him the film, or is it just your judgment?
Yeah, so if I'm recruiting another position, I just present the D line coach the information. He has to decide if we're going to recruit that kid and offer him a scholarship. If it's my position, if it's cornerback, and me and the safety coach work hand in hand, if it's a defensive back, pretty much I kind of get free range. If I think the guy's good enough to play for us, I can make that decision.
All right. I reside in Scottsdale. I'm a 3-star wide receiver from Scottsdale High, and you've just come to visit, and we're sitting down, my family's in the living room. Recruit me, Demetrius. How does it work?
So really how it works, first I try to find out what that kid and what his family want. So I want to find out what's going to be their best fit. What are they looking for? Are you looking to go to university, great education? Is there a particular major you're looking for? Are you looking to go somewhere where you can play early? Are you looking to go to the NFL? So early in the process, I'm asking a lot of questions about what that student athlete and what his family is looking for when they make their decision. And then from that point, I'll kind of cater and see, okay, this is what you want. This is how San Diego State could provide that. So obviously the biggest selling points on San Diego State are going to be location, right? There's not many cities more beautiful and where you can have more fun than San Diego. I think we have a great academic institution that's continuing to rise. And then obviously the success we've had on the football field, and pretty much every kid wants to play in the NFL. And so we've had a great track record of winning games on the West Coast, and we had a great track record of sending players to the next level. So that's usually kind of my method to getting it done.
So I want the academic education, but now you're recruiting Burt Grossman. And Burt, your first question is going to be?
Money. How much? What you got on that NIL right now?
So how do you deal with Burt? I'm an easy kid to recruit because I want to have an education. Burt just wants to get paid.
Yeah.
So if you go there and say it's USC and USC has a $50 million NIL war chest, right. Do you just drop out of it at that point if that's what the kid really wants, or do you still pursue it?
If that's what's most important to him and he's going to go to the highest bidder, then we're going to be out of it. So again, that's part of my job of finding that information, what's really important to him. We're not, Coach Hook is taking a stance on we're not going to be getting into bidding wars in recruiting. How we're trying to use NIL is to help our seniors, our guys that have already been here that have proven themselves. So if we have NIL opportunities, we're going to give it to the guys that have been here, the juniors, seniors that have made some plays for us, that have done a good job. But we're not getting much into bidding on players in the recruiting process.
So that means you're going to lose out on guys like Grossman, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think
For
it
the
might
culture,
be.
it's good. Probably.
Yeah, it's much better for the culture in the locker room. I think if you don't want Grossman anywhere near the program, but
I'm out roller skating. I don't even practice. What are you talking about?
But does that does that narrow the focus as far as what athletes you? I mean, it goes back to our question about recruiting kids locally. I mean, some kids are just going to be bigger than what the program can offer. Is that a fair way of saying it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. And that happens. That's part of the deal. Hey, I'm going to need this amount to come there, or I may want this if I come there. If we can't provide that, I'm not going to waste his time or my time kind of entertaining that if I know we can't make that happen. So still keep a positive relationship, right? Because now the backside of this whole deal is the transfer portal, right? So now a lot of guys are okay. Hey, go do that because you think that's what's best for you right now. More power to you. Hope that works out. If that doesn't work out, and you want to come to a place where you can just play some football, if the opportunity is still available, maybe we can talk on the backside if it doesn't work out for you. But we're kind of stand firm where we stand right now.
So what do you think on? I mean, with the NIL now and the transfer portal, I mean, what's more valuable in your opinion, a great coach or a great recruiter? On-field coach. I mean, because it used to be, back in my day, if you were a great recruiter, they didn't really care how good a coach you were, but.
Right. Well, when you get, like you guys asked the question about the financial part of it in NIL, how good of a recruiter do you have to be if you're just paying them?
Yeah.
Because before the money was involved, it was about building relationships and getting to know a kid and him getting to know you and kind of building that relationship. Well, now if the kid's making this decision based off who's going to pay the most, it doesn't matter the kind of recruiter you are. It's who has the biggest bank backing them. So again, we try to pride ourselves on the culture and what we do at San Diego State being a little different, putting team first, toughness first. So we try to pride ourselves on that. So we try to find guys that are going to fit that mold, right? And not every kid's going to fit that mold. We understand that, but we believe that's how you sustain success. It's still the old core values of football of putting team first. No I in team, and coming together to win ball games more than, hey, let's just piece together the best talent and pay the most we can and see how that works out for us. Some guys that works for, we couldn't play that game. I don't think it would work for us here at San Diego State.
So what's your life like? How many are you living out of a suitcase pretty much?
It depends on the time of year. Right now, we're in the office, we're watching film, recruiting, watching last season, figuring out how we can get better before spring ball. So right now, I'm able to be home on the weekends with my family. It's a little more of a normal schedule. Come April, we're on the road recruiting. That's when I'm out of a suitcase for about 3 to 4 weeks, going to high school, seeing kids, getting transcripts. Summertime gets back to a little more normal. We're in the office during the week. We do camps on the weekend. And then once you get to the season, it's go time and you're in here pretty much all day.
So do you allow yourself time to follow the news stories regarding Pac-12 this, conference that? I mean, the program would, at least TV deal-wise, I think if you were to move into the Pac-12 or whatever number it's going to be, that's a better TV package for you. I think the big strike against the Mountain West is the TV deal. Do you allow yourself to follow those stories, or is that something that's so many pay grades above you that what's the sense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we hear about it, and that's also a very important part of the recruiting process. So we got to know about that, right? Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about us going to the Pac-12, potentially even the Big 12. So a lot of times in recruiting, kids want to play in those conferences. So kids that, could have been eliminated before because this kid said, hey, I'm only going to go to a Power 5 program. Well, now we can have the conversation where we say, hey, San Diego State may be going to a Power 5 program here pretty soon, and you may be able to play in the Pac-12 or the Big 12. So we do follow it. Obviously, way above my pay grade. I have no input on that decision. So, whether it happens or not, I'm still got to make sure we can cover somebody at DB, but definitely got to be aware of it and be able to communicate it because a lot of people want to talk about it.
I know your area is Arizona Inland Empire, but is there a high priority kid 24, class 24 in San Diego that you guys are like, we need to get this guy?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I could share that right
I don't share it, but there is somebody, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I could share that. There's multiple. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
there's multiple kids in San Diego that are priority, and that's actually what we're doing right now. We just finished the 23 signing class. So these ever since last Wednesday, I think the first was signing day. We've really been hammering all the 2024's top prospects. We started in San Diego, so we watched a lot of the top prospects in San Diego. Then what we do is we go and we compare them versus the kids in the Inland Empire, in Arizona, in LA, Northern California, and see how they measure up, kind of create a board. Okay, this is 1 through 10, and then we start attacking it that way. So that's actually the process we're going through as we speak. That's actually what the rest of the staff is doing right now. We're watching a lot of the top recruits in California and San Diego and ranking them.
Demetrius, just because it's past tense, I was watching, I didn't know much about Josiah Cox from Lincoln until I went and saw him play, and I saw this heat-seeking missile coming up and sticking his nose in, and I thought, wow, I don't know if that kid's good or not fundamentally, but I want him to play at my college. What are you looking for in a DB? Is it a kid that comes up and plays bigger than his body, or are you staring at the footwork and the hip work, or all of the above?
Yeah. So one of my mentors, he gave it to me the most basic way you can give it to someone. He says, to play DB, you have to be the best athlete on the field, right? And all that's natural, God-given ability. So you have to have speed, you have to have great change of direction, you have to be willing to come up and tackle. A lot of times, great DBs, if you're the most athletic player on your high school team or one of the most athletic players in your city, you're probably going to play multiple positions. You're probably going to play multiple sports. So those are really big deals for me when I'm looking at guys. Obviously, the size and speed, if we can verify those types of things, how tall, how fast is he? The measurable things we can verify are also important also. But the biggest thing is, to me, when I watch him, is he the best athlete on the field when I cut the film on? Is he returning kicks? Is he going playing wide out, going making catches and making guys miss? Is he playing DB and locking down the side of the field? So just the variety of being an overall athlete, I think, is kind of the biggest thing I'm looking for to play the position. I can teach you how to backpedal and do the other things, but are you an elite athlete?
So right there, using that description, you can.
Oh, I got my follow-up.
I know. I'm going to let you do it, but I'm just going to say it right there. I know who. I can think of a couple kids he might be talking about. I won't.
Marcus Ratcliffe. Oh, you're talking about ahead.
No, I'm talking about in 2024. I know a couple kids that fit.
Well,
that
this is what I hate about college football now. You can give a kid $12 million, but you can't say his name on a podcast. That's what I hate about college football.
Well, I just don't want to get Demetrius is doing us a favor. I don't want to get him in trouble.
Oh no, I know it's the rule. So I mean, you brought up multiple sports. So what's your take on the 7-on-7 or multiple sports argument?
Yeah, I think I don't think 7-on-7 is a terrible thing. I think it's good. I think the game has gotten better as far as passing and catching, and guys have come in a little more prepared because of 7-on-7. But I'm still a big fan of competing in multiple sports in high school. And that's usually one of my first questions when I go into a kid's high school. Does he play basketball? Is he running track? Is he playing baseball? Because to me, you're working different muscle groups. And to me, that shows that you're truly a competitor, being able to go do different things and be good at different things. So I'm big. I would prefer, if you're asking, I would prefer a kid play multiple sports. He can play some 7-on-7 also, but I would much rather prefer a kid play multiple sports, and I can cut on some basketball film, and I can cut on some baseball film or some track film, and see him doing some other things also.
All right, now I segue perfectly. So when you were at Skate World, what was your song that came on? Because Paul and I would have been Locomotion, you remember?
Do the Locomotion with me.
So what was your song that you had, and then you got on there and you did the back and you did everything?
I don't know. It was by Corrupt. By Corrupt, it was called We Can Freak It. Great song. Not a bad song, great song. And that was my go-to right there. Anybody that was going to roller skate land back then, they'll tell you about that song.
Can you still roller skate?
No, I probably have one time in the last 15 years. So my dad still does all the time, actually. But
no kidding.
Yeah, he's a big-time roller skater.
Well, then that begs the question, because when I met you, you looked like you were still in playing shape. For $100,000, could you play a half of high school football?
Absolutely not.
Honest to God, I mean, you could. You don't think
you put the ball down inside the 15-yard line, I could probably get it in there, but to play a whole half, I don't think I could do it at this point.
I'm pretty sure I still can, and I'm like 20 years older than him. It depends on the team, though. I'm not, if it's like Roderick, I'm not playing him.
Yeah, would you want to tackle Roderick?
I could do 8-man, I bet. I could play
What
it, man.
I mean, what position are we talking here? I mean, are you,
Yeah, that's true too.
I assume you played. I know you were a running back, but did you play DB as well as in high school?
not much. Probably JV was the last.
All
time I
right,
played
so
DB.
then you're a running back. Could you carry? Could you carry the football for 20 times in a high school game?
No, I could give you probably a good 5. Good 5 carries is all I got left.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, it brings up the question because you went to Colorado, right?
Yes, sir.
You were a
Yes,
Buffalo. Big things happening in Boulder. It's a Boulder, right?
Yeah.
Well, do you keep your ear to the wall there? I mean, what if primetime called? Would you go?
No, this is home for me. San Diego is home. You know, I love being here. My family's here. I met my wife here. So obviously Colorado's my alma mater, but San Diego's home. I love being in my hometown, being able to be close to my family, being able to recruit kids and try to get kids in San Diego to stay in San Diego. So this is where my heart's at.
Will he be successful there?
He has a chance. I can't give you a yes or no. I know that's a pretty watered down answer. He's going to get good talent. I think he's hired good coaches, but I think he's going to be playing to get some elite talent also. So it'll take a couple years. Jury's out.
It brings up the great coach versus great recruiter thing because I think primetime everyone would acknowledge is a great recruiter, right?
Great recruiter, absolutely.
But is he a great coach?
But he hires great coaches.
We're gonna find that out because when talent's equal, now we're gonna see who's better at the X's and O's or who has the better culture, right? That's another important part of it.
Because you wonder his last game, his bowl game, he lost, and he had about a whole lot more talent than the other team and still lost.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, so I assume that somewhere on the recruiting road, you will encounter him or somebody from his staff, right? I mean, you're going to go after some of the kids that he's going to go after, right?
Absolutely. Head coaches don't go on the road too much. It's very
But that's what I'm saying. Someone from his staff you're going to encounter.
Yeah, some guys from their staff. I'll probably see out there. We'll be competing for some guys.
Holy Bowl. I want to talk about the Holy. What was your record in the Holy Bowl while you were at Cathedral?
I was 2-2. We were even 2-2.
And was it Marian Catholic then, or was it Modern Day? It was Marian.
No, Holy Bowl was Cathedral Saints.
Yeah, was the other Catholic school Marian then, or was it?
Yeah, it was Marian back then. We never played
Marian.
Marian when I was in school though.
Not at all.
Well, they were so much smaller than you were.
Yeah, they were. No, actually, we never the same division. They were both Division III, but we kept matching up with Saints in the playoffs, and then they played Saints in the CIF. So we never played them my time in high school.
So you never saw Patrick P.T. Gates on the field, huh?
Grew up with P.T. Gates, so I saw him in Pop Warner youth football. I know P.T. well. Fortunately, we didn't have to see him in high school.
You know, I get in trouble with folks because I still to this day, I know he had his issues after high school, but I still say pound for pound. And I saw Reggie and I saw Roderick play. Pound for pound, that kid was one of the toughest kids I've ever sat and watched. I mean, he asked no quarter, gave no quarter, and he was fast as hell.
I tell the legend of P.T. Gates still reigns in my mind, and I tell my kids about people like P.T. Gates, my players. I'm talking, and I tell stories. He actually almost came to Colorado with me. I hosted him on a visit when he came out of junior college, and he was actually going to come to Colorado with me also. So I remember how talented he was. He was one of the best high school players. I tell people all the time he was doing that flip. Yeah. Probably before Reggie Bush, he was doing that flip into the end zone. So. Yeah. That's a legend right there.
Him and Salanese. Remember Salanese?
Yeah.
Quarterback?
I remember, I think I had to pay P.T. Gates $40 to come to the gala. Back then, that was a big expenditure for me.
40, that's a violation.
I know, that was an NIL. Before
First
NIL.
yeah.
That's a violation.
Did you guys negotiate, or he just gave the number and you paid?
I think his brother shook me down, or somebody in his posse said, well, we need $40 for transportation. But I'll come and get you. No, we need the $40. I haven't seen him in forever. I hope he's doing well. I always had great respect for him.
Yeah, I've seen him a couple years ago. He seemed like he was doing well. He's got some kids now. He's doing well.
All right, great.
I got one Colorado question.
Sure.
What do you, before Deion, obviously, what happened to Colorado? Because that used to be the premier program, and all of a sudden it went to the bottom program real quick. Not real quick, but.
Yeah. My opinion, I think when it went to the Pac-12, I think the recruiting changed for it a little bit. And the reason I say that, when I went to Colorado, it was in the Big 12. And part of the reason I went there, because I wanted to go play in the Big 12. I wanted to play against Oklahoma and Texas. And at the time, those were, two really good programs. Colorado was in the Big 12 championship the year before I got there. And so they got a lot of kids from California that didn't necessarily want to play in the Pac-12, but were, highly recruited to go to the Big 12. They would also get a lot of really good kids from like Texas and the Midwest, that maybe Texas and Oklahoma didn't recruit, but they could get some kids and talk them into going to Colorado over Baylor or over Texas Tech or some of the other kid schools in the Big 12, the Kansas schools. So they had a real good niche right there. That's my opinion. When they went to the Pac-12, I just think it was hard for them to recruit against a lot of that Pac-12 talent. Obviously, Southern California schools, obviously what Oregon does, with their facilities and things, the Arizona schools, how nice Arizona is. So I just thought it was a struggle for them to recruit against a lot of the Pac-12 schools. So that's my opinion on what happened. And I think they didn't have a lot of great talent, and coaches weren't getting it done for a little while. So.
Hey, I know some news that broke. I think was it yesterday? The Aztecs. Tell me about Coach Gold, or does San Diego State just hire a running back coach?
Yes, sir. Coach G.
Tell me about him.
Yeah, so Coach Gold came from Stanford, been at Stanford like the last 5 or 6 years. He was the head coach at UC Davis before that, and then he was the running back coach at Cal for maybe 10 to 12 years before that. So obviously Coach Horton retiring, he's been a legend around here. He's produced a lot of great running backs. And Coach G is probably the only guy that we could have hired that could rival his kind of resume as a coach. Having coached Marshawn Lynch, Javid Best, maybe 7 Pro Bowl running backs that he's coached, and maybe 10 to 12 total guys that made to the NFL. So, he's done a great job at the running back position. We're excited to have him here. So
as we wrap this up,
I got a question.
Okay, well,
tell us a little bit about Lucky Sutton, one of my favorite players.
Yeah, Lucky's doing a great job. He redshirted last year. He did get a couple carries late in the season. Now you could still play if you play in less than 4 games, you can still count as a redshirt. So he did play in a couple games for us late in the season, but it still counted as a redshirt. He's getting bigger, he's getting faster, he's getting stronger. And I'm excited to see what he does for us this spring and going into the fall. I kind of, I'm hard on him because obviously he played at Cathedral, and I played at Cathedral and running back, so had to work on some things, just as getting his pads down and understanding how to transition from high school football to college. But I think he's grasping it, and I think he's going to be a good player for us.
There's so much about people they don't like to recruit from Cathedral because there are system running backs and they pile up these impressive, massive yards, but it's not a style of play that you see anywhere else at the collegiate level. Has that been a hindrance to him, or is that all poppycock?
I think every school does it different, and I think every coach evaluates it different. I know for us, if you can play, you can play. We played against a wide receiver who's he's with the Packers now. What's his name? Romeo Dubs. And he went to Nevada, and he was the best receiver in the Mountain West Conference for about 3 years. He played like the wing back in the wing tee. And he probably should have went to top 5 school in the country. He ended up at Nevada, and he was one of the best receivers I've ever seen in college. So if you can play, but if you watch his high school film, he can play. And he played basketball, and he ran track, and he played some defense. And so to me, the overall athleticism, that doesn't change no matter what scheme you're in. Some schools factor that in a little more than others. I'm a little biased. I think it's actually easier when you get to the college level than the wing tee because you got more space to see everything, right? In the wing tee, you're right behind the quarterback. You get the ball, you got to make a cut and go. In college, you're 5-7 yards back. You can see the whole picture develop a little better, and it's actually a little easier, in my opinion. That was my experience. So I think it just depends on, every school does it a little different.
Can I ask one last one?
Yeah.
Are you done? Are you tapped out?
I was going to say, you can see it, but in college, those windows close a lot quicker. You see them open, but they close a lot quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Demetrius, as far as an assistant coach and you're recruiting, and somebody doesn't fit the parameters of a position, you were talking about height, weight, speed, but you just have that feeling in your gut that they can play. Who wins that argument? Because one coach will say, no, he doesn't fit the cookie cutter dimensions, but you push for him to play. How does that go? Then for the entire career of that athlete, are you hoping to God he produces because your neck is on the line? And do you guys record that as far as these 8 kids I recruited, 6 of them played, 2 of them were terrible? Is there a metric for assistant coaches and recruiting coaches that are you constantly being monitored about how you've done in the recruiting wars?
Absolutely. So we track it all digitally. So we all, we create it's basically an online form we have. It's called ARMS. So if I go to recruit a kid and I grade them on everything, height, weight, speed, change direction, athleticism, football intelligence, I track all those things. Then I write a summary of what I think about the kid. Is he a kid that we should offer a scholarship? Is he a kid that maybe will be a scholarship kid for us, but we're not going to offer yet? Is he a kid that I don't think could play at this level? So all that stuff is tracked. And so obviously, recruiting coordinators and head coach, they go back and look at all those things and say, okay, these are the guys you brought in. What'd you say about this guy? Or we'll play a guy that's unbelievable. And it's like, why didn't we recruit that guy? Well, let's go back and look what we thought about this guy. So definitely all that stuff is monitored. When it comes down to small, guys that don't meet the measurables, you will take some of those guys. Those are the exceptions, we had Donnell Pumphrey, who was the GA for us. He just left. They haven't announced what school he's going to yet, but you guys will get that news here pretty soon. But he left, and, people point to Donnell Pumphrey because Pumphrey's 5'9", 170 pounds. But I'm like, that's the exception, and
right.
You can only, I guess from our perspective, you can only take so many of those. So if I'm taking 3 cornerbacks, I'm going to take 2 that are the size I want them. I can take a chance on a small guy, a 5'9" guy, because I got 2 other ones that are the size that we feel that they should be. If I'm only taking 1 cornerback, I'm probably not taking a really small guy because I'm only taking 1 that class. Unless I feel like this guy is so electric, he's a game changer, I'm willing to stand on the table and take him. So that's kind of the method.
Well, you're way over as usual. This is your longest.
Yeah, all right. Demetrius, we're turning this off. I'm going to get this posted. If I don't get it up today, it'll be posted tomorrow.
You going to post a roller skate link?
Yeah, of course. We're going to post all sorts of clips. And then on Thursday, we run it on Good Morning San Diego, and Brandon will run some of it on his sportscast. And before the weekend, you'll be getting some airtime. And I just want to thank you, young man, for making time for us. I know you got more important things to do than talk to Burt and I. It was greatly appreciated.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And Coach Hoke, before I came in here, Coach Hoke told me to make sure to tell you guys hello. He's a big fan of the show.
As we are of him. So he made an appearance from his office, and he didn't have to do that for us. So
he's got a bigger office than you.
Yeah.
He's got a lot bigger office.
All right, Demetrius. In 3, 2, 1, turn off the machines. This podcast is over.